Hi, welcome back. Let's start with a little geography. You've all heard about a country called Spain. Spain, or otherwise the Kingdom of Spain, is a country located in southwestern Europe with parts of the territory in the Atlantic Ocean and across the Mediterranean Sea. The largest part of this country is located on the Iberian Peninsula, and the country's mainland is bordered to the south by Gibraltar. It's the second largest country in the European Union and with a population exceeding 47.4 million. Now, between the 6th of November 1661 and the 1st of November 1700, the Kingdom of Spain was ruled by Charles II, or otherwise the Bewitched, and who was the last Habsburg ruler of the Spanish Empire. Best remembered for his physical disabilities and the War of the Spanish Succession that followed his death, his reign has traditionally been viewed as one of managed decline. Welcome to my channel. My name is Victor, the author of the File Sonja series of novels. The House of Habsburg, also known as the House of Australia, is to date one of the most prominent dynasties in European history. Historians describe Charles as short, lame, epileptic, senile and completely bald before the age of 35 and always on the verge of death, but repeatedly baffling Christendom by continuing to live. Born on the 6th of November 1661, Charles was the only surviving son of 26-year-old Mariana of Austria and her uncle, 56-year-old Philip IV of Spain. While European nobility married within the same extended family to retain property, the Austrian Habsburgs were unusual in the extent to which they followed this policy. This kind of intermarriage accentuated the so-called Habsburg jaw, a physical characteristic commonly to both Spanish and Austrian Habsburgs. In fact, reports show that this was so pronounced in Charles that he swallowed his food without thoroughly chewing, which resulted in frequent stomach upsets. In 2019, a study conducted on the Habsburg jaw concluded a genetic link was highly likely, specifically as a recessive trait. Now, throughout history, there has been remarkable tendencies for rulers to marry close relatives in order to secure bloodlines and keep them pure. Now, this practice of familiar inbreeding leads to dramatic increase of damaging genetic disorders among offsprings. Even the pharaohs of Egypt practiced this ritual for over 3,000 years, commonly marrying sisters and brothers, or even the children of the two. So far, so good then. But things are just about to get tricky. Now, a man called Sigmund Freud, an Australian neurologist and the founding father of psychoanalysts, called this behavioral practice incest and named it as one of the two universal taboos. Now, to date, most societies throughout the world agree to this one, but this seems to change from culture to culture. Scientists tell us this should be avoided at all costs. It's all in the human genome. We humans have between 20,000 and 30,000 genes apiece, and two copies of each of our genes. One inherited from our father, and the other one from our mother. And mutations in some of these genes are responsible for the inherited diseases like sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis, just to name but a few. The majority of these inherited diseases are recessive, and that means you will have the disease if you inherit the same gene mutation from both your mother and father. By having children from a close relative, say a sibling, with whom you share about half of your DNA, you increase the chances of having two copies of any potential damaging genes knocking around in your DNA. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to proceed from where I left in episode number 29. The man was so high, that is Jack Daniels. "Where is Miles?" he asked. "Coming up, Daniels," replied Miles, approaching as quietly as he had withdrawn. Alfred whizzed past me, and with the ferocity of a tiger, Miles planted himself beside me. "That's a cowbird, right?" I asked. "It is," replied Miles. "I can tell from the scope glint." "What do you have in mind, Mr. Taylor?" said Jake. That goosed me much. "Getting the job done," I said. "I'll need backup though. We wait our opportunity. We are lucky men," yelled Alfred Bench in disapproval. "You there," said Jake, aiming his gun at Mr. Bench. "What did I say? Hold your meddlesome tongue, and maybe, just maybe, I'll let you bang your cussing again without spilling a word of the little fiasco." With the unsettling mind of a beaten soldier, Mr. Bench ransacked the refrigerator, snatched at 3 fried chicken wings, and undertook to consume them with the ferocity of a vampire. Now we move to chapter 5. The lifespan of terrorists isn't the longest. It's like that of mayflies. To think of the future was to proclaim fortune-telling. They die, or you die, nothing more. The epic of gunfire, as far as the STM was concerned, was an event that created no choices of retreat. In short, the spectacle attracted mayhem in retaliation. Surviving one more day was the greatest struggle of courage. I had no chance of escape, not even to go bury my father. The most serene hopes had drifted away completely. "This, gentlemen," I said, "is what we are up against. This is a bolt sniper rifle firing 50 caliber rounds." In agreement, Jake nodded his hand in my direction. "It's an incendiary weapon." My palms clammed up. They trembled. The bastard was a refined marksman. No doubt. Like a weasel on guard, I submitted to the delicacy of staring at Miles with every gunshot trade that ensued. "Right, all right," I said with the most unruffled discomposure. "I believe it's a perfect engagement for helicopters." To that, Jake offered no reply. A junior enjoyed not much motivation to make inquiries. It would be folly. STM politics played out without outright insubordination. "Perfect for armored vehicles too, John," proceeded Miles, tapping legs impatiently. "It allows effective OPs against distant targets." In the light of the objects of analyzing the sniper's weapon, Jake pursued that he believed, in addition, the intensity of the momentum created by the bullets on targets in the house indicated a human in a bulletproof jacket would never have survived a hit from standoff range. The engineer's speculation stiffened, but had attained full control of nerve essential to a refined STM militant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with that I come to the end of my today's episode. Stay tuned to episode number 31. Things are just warming up. Goodbye.